So it looks like the Sony a9 Mark II is just around the corner. We talk about it in this episode. Stay tuned. Hey, what's going on everybody? It's that one camera guy back at again with another video for you. And in this video, I'm really just kind of answering this question about what the a9 Mark II would need for someone like me to be interested in it, and definitely getting your input on those of you who are in the market for an a9, for example. So I made a list of things or some items that I would like to see improved in the a9 Mark II. Granted, we're already seeing some leaked images and the potential announcements next month, and maybe at Photo Plus, we might even start seeing it show up. So with the a9, the original, this guy right here, I would say in terms of just the camera itself, it's already really good. Other than the overheating thing that was dealt with a long time ago in 2017 in the summer of, but those were resolved with firmware updates and what have you, the camera itself has performed very well for my likings. You know, shooting a lot of sports, it just works. The autofocus is great, the performance is great, the buffer is fantastic, the improved body and structure of it is all well and good. But there are a few areas that they could definitely work on. And I was glad that they incorporated the new autofocusing system as a firmware update on the camera, which was a major thing. I've been using it and that thing works phenomenally as well. So with this camera being great already, what more can Sony do to really entice new customers to want to upgrade? Now, I think if you shoot at the highest pinnacle of sports, maybe, I would imagine that any sort of advantage over the previous model is going to be beneficial to you. And then Sony has already worked in a 400 2.8, they've got a 600 f4. So their lineup of large sports lenses or wildlife lenses, whatever you want to consider them, already exists. So let's go ahead and dive into some of the ideas that I came up with that would make me want to consider seeing this camera. So the buffer writing speeds are already really good on this camera, but they could be improved. For those of you who use Canon and use Nikon, I would say, I'll just speak on Canon's side because I use Canon. I've used Canon. I always felt that the buffer wrote very quickly on that camera. I think even with the 1D, I was using the 1D Cinema and I was firing with it, but anytime I would fire large bursts, it would write fairly quickly to the card. No problems. Even just formatting the cards in Canon cameras is a very snappy process. On the Sony side, it feels very sluggish. Now, I don't know if that's been addressed in like the a7R4. Maybe they've worked something out. I don't know, but it always feels like it takes a few seconds longer on a Sony system. Let me know if you feel the same in the comments below with any of your Sony cameras, for those of you that came from a Canon or a Nikon system. But what happens a lot is I'm taking photos, and I love doing hybrid, right? You know that already. I love doing hybrid. So I'll shoot a sequence, maybe football, and then I want to quickly go into video, maybe some slow motion stuff. The card's still writing, and it's like another 2 to 3 seconds. And then which I'll talk about later, it lags. So I lose a little bit of that time. And I know you might say, well, why don't you just have another camera on you? I'd rather just have that one particular camera do both work for me. It should have dual UHS 2 card slots at this point because of the a7R4, so I won't go into much detail, but hopefully they can just have a faster throughput with that particular format. The sensor size looks like it's going to be improved. I do hope they upgrade to a 36 megapixel sensor. I know folks will say, well, you don't really need that many megapixels, and I'm like, you know what? I would like more megapixels in my camera. So 36 would be a great option to expand out to. Then what that allows for folks who use the a9 is when they go to the crop mode, to take advantage of crop mode, they can still have a little bit more resolution than like 10 megapixels. Because right now you shoot at 24 and then you crop, I think it cuts down to 10. So if you can cut down to maybe 16 or 14, you can get a little bit more resolution in it. It's always a benefit for the photographer. As long as you can keep all the benefits that we've already had in the a9, I think a 36 megapixel bump would be a good thing. Maybe in terms of frames per second, I would say 20 is already fantastic. It's already, up there in terms of speed. But maybe they can do 24 frames per second in a crop mode. Why would they need it? I don't really know. I'm just saying, I'm just thinking out the box here because the RX10 Mark IV, I believe, does 24 frames per second burst. Number 5, can they even improve autofocus on the camera? I don't know what else they can do. You know, they're going to get the animal eye autofocus if they haven't already got it already. But what more can they improve on? I know there's a small group of folks out there that know what they can improve on, especially with wildlife potentially. So hopefully they've worked out those details to help those folks out that need that. But for my particular shooting with sports, I don't feel it's inadequate at all. It is actually more camera than anybody even needs, in my opinion. A better tagging system. It took a while for the rating system to appear on the A9, which was really strange, but they finally got that. But what I'd like to see, I know it's the Canon and Nikon do this, where let's say I pull up a photograph and I'm playing it back, maybe I can just press a button and do a little audio note next to it so I can quickly reference it. Maybe, hey, player does an interception, fourth quarter, 3 minutes and 21 seconds left on the clock. Something like that I can tag it with, so that way I know I can go back and check, hey, that was that person and this was this play that happened, and I can describe it. Those are really useful things, which doesn't exist on the Sony A9. I think would be really handy for maybe sports photographers or any other better tagging system. I don't know, if you definitely shoot at that level, you know, what different things would be beneficial to you if the sky was the limit? What other tagging systems could you have? Number 7, maybe improve wireless transfer with the camera. So especially if you're working on sidelines or sports, I mean, I don't work in that industry, but I would imagine being able to get the files quickly to maybe a server or something of that nature. I know there's like an Ethernet port on the A9 for those transfers to be made, but you'd have to be tethered for that kind of thing. But if they could improve the wireless functionality on the camera, I'm just thinking outside the box. What if you had a dedicated wireless, connection, or a jetpack or whatever you're on the field? And what would be really great is, let's say it connects to it, you fire off your photos, and the speeds are good enough that you can transfer it. Maybe you shoot a RAW and a small JPEG, and you can say, send off the small JPEG automatically. And what would be really great is that while you're taking your photos, it keeps allowing you to take pictures. That's what I would like to see, where it can do both at the same time, where it can still send maybe that small JPEG, but you can still shoot and fire at the same time. I think that'd be great. Now, maybe you can't just send off whatever, but maybe after a play is done, you can quickly go back and then tag the photos that you were interested in, and then those will send in the background while you continue shooting. Because I wouldn't want to slow down the workflow because I don't want to miss any of the action. I think number 8, it would be a good one in terms of speeding up the overall usage. I would say sometimes just even turning on the camera from a cold boot takes, like I'm turning it on right now and now it's on. That took like 3 seconds or so. Now on a cold boot it feels slower. When it's kind of warmed up, something that's not a big deal, but I still feel that lag, and it could take several seconds for the camera to turn on. Again, those of you that came from Canon and Nikon, you just turn it on. Am I wrong? Like, you just turn on the camera, it's already on. So I think it's something Sony needs to work on. It's really kind of a problem in my opinion. And if they can just speed it up, it'd be better. Now, I could just leave the camera on, but sometimes if you just turn it on, it should go quicker. And just maybe just the interface itself, find ways to optimize it. I think that'd be great. Number 9 is a problem that I have a lot. Let me know if you deal with it too. But what happens is, if I have the camera and then I hit record, there's a big delay. So if I hit the record button, it actually takes like 2 seconds until it actually starts recording. You can try that on any of your Sony cameras if you'd like to, but it's not instantaneous. And I know when I use the Canon cameras, they go a little quicker. I mean, you click record, it starts. But with the Sony, there's a little bit of a lag. So imagine I'm out on the field, I'm firing. Now I'm waiting 3 seconds for the buffer to finish writing, and then I click I want to record video, so I hit record, and there's another 2-second delay that I see until I actually start recording footage. A whistle might have blown already, the play might have already started, and I miss things here and there. And it's happened, and it still happens now when I want to do a bit of hybrid shooting. Now, again, like I said, you know, there's ways to work around it, but something they can probably improve. Number 10, A9 weather sealing. I don't know what more they can do, just make it more robust, more weather resistant, more less likely to overheat, those kind of things. I've used it in pouring rain. I've used it in dusty conditions. Camera works great. Never had any problems with it. I've never had to send it in. I've gotten it clean before, but I've never had to send it in to get it repaired or anything like that. So it works really great. We all know Sony's stabilization isn't the best in the business. So if they can find a way to improve that already, that'd be great too. And also in video, it is a bit jerky here and there. It would just be nice if they can do something to just make it a little bit better than it was before. Finally, there's two more things. Number 12 on my list is 4K 60p. I know some people are gonna say they don't need 4K 60p, but you gotta really look at it in terms of just being progressive with the industry, with sports, being able to get high quality video and slow motion. Sports is the arena where you would love to see that slow motion happen. So I shoot a lot of 1080p, 120 FPS footage a lot. I can slow it down, and you can do some stuff where you can mix it in with footage and photographs. It just gives the person some more tools. I mean, maybe you're on the field, you fire, and you're like, man, I already got all the shots I needed. Why don't I flip over to video? Now, if the camera had, maybe a faster 1080p, 180 FPS, or even the 4K 60p, you're just giving that person just that much more tools to work with in their camera to help them in what they want to do and be creative. So it'd be nice to see 4K 60p, and it'd be nice to see picture profiles. Holy crap, the A9, for whatever reason, they never put the picture profiles. So now I've got the A9, I've got the A7R3 and two 6400s, which have hybrid log gamma. A9 doesn't have it. So when I was shooting an event, with multiple camera setups, I couldn't really use the A9. So, had it been used for photos, but point being, it'd be nice if I could have those picture profiles. So, I think they gave up some reasons why they did that, and I don't really believe Sony when they make up these excuses. It was a choice that they made, and I hope it's not a cripple hammer kind of deal with like Canon, but this next one needs to have the picture profiles. Give that access to the picture profiles. And finally, I think we can all agree on this. I hope we can all agree on this. The LCD needs some work. It doesn't make any sense as a company. You branch out. This company makes phones. They make TVs. Why does the LCD screen still look like garbage up until this point? And you're going to expect consumers to probably spend, not just consumers, but the pro level folks, they're going to be spending $4,500, $5,000 on an A9 Mark II coming into the future. And you really have to step up the back of the screen here, especially if this is your flagship device. Why aren't you working on that? Now, from the looks of it, we're not going to get a flippy screen. That's cool. I mean, it's livable. You are just going to get this screen, which works just fine for the most part. But anyway, those are the things that, I see that the A9 Mark II would need to entice me. 4K 60p would be a big one. Like I said, with the sports stuff, I would love that. And that would maybe make me consider upgrading in the future. But to be honest with you, when the A9 Mark II comes out, get yourself an A9. If you do a lot of event stuff and you want to you just want to take advantage of the 20 FPS, the silent shutter, it's amazing. Being able to shoot in places and not make a lot of noise and disturb people, especially if you're shooting weddings or whatever, and get the best benefit out of there. So the crazy thing really is when the A9 Mark II comes out, we'll start seeing some A9 prices drop, and sub $3,000 prices for this camera are already out there. So let me know your thoughts about it on my list. Is there something specific that you'd like to see in the A9 Mark II? I know not a lot of people are in the market for an A9, but we can always dream, right? Like always reach for something higher out there. So that's going to do it for me, guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and check out my other content. And I'll catch you guys later. Peace.